Welcome to the Real Biz Solution podcast, where we sit down with business owners, entrepreneurs, and leaders to talk about what it really takes to build, to grow, and scale a successful business. We just don't talk about success. We want to understand the journey behind it, the challenges, the businesses that we face as they grow, and the decision leaders have to make to get to the next level. Today, I'm excited to welcome Stefanee Clontz from HydraPlus. HydraPlus has built its reputation around creating a highly personalized, high-touch wellness experience for its clients. Today, we're going to go behind the scenes and learn more about Stefanee's journey, how HydraPlus has evolved, and what makes this company different, and what it takes to grow a business while maintaining the customer experience that made it successful in the first place. Stefanee, welcome to the Real Biz Solution podcast. I'm excited to have you here.
Hey, how are you? Goodness, that was a big intro. It's like now I have to fill those shoes.
Well, you could definitely fill them. But before we get into HydraPlus, I always like to start with the person behind the business. Stefanee, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was your journey before HydraPlus, and how did you get involved with the company?
Well, I got into the wellness industry probably 2009. And okay, so I was 28 years old. Do not do the math, but still wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. So my background is actually journalism, and I bounced around after quitting TV news after just 3 years, and I was working at a different medical practice 4 years ago, and I just reached this point in time where I was like, you know what? I think that it's time to go. Like, it just felt like I was a hamster in a wheel. I felt like I just like kind of hit the ceiling there professionally. And so I told my business partner that, hey, this is August of 2022. I said, I think that I'm going to try and go. And so my time frame was the end of the year, August to December, right? And whatever I manifested in that conversation, a week later, I had 2 job offers. The first one was for a med spa, and it was like kind of a lateral move. The pay was the same, it was one location. I'd be doing a lot of the same things, except my commute was further. And then the other offer was from HydraPlus, and it was 3 IV hydration clinics only. That was the only service they offered, but they wanted to incorporate the GLPs, testosterone replacement, peptide therapy, Botox, all of the things. And so it was like, let's go with the choice that makes us the most uncomfortable. And so I accepted the job with as director of operations in September of 2022. In a few weeks here, I'll be at my 4-year mark with Hydra.
Wow,
Yeah,
congratulations.
my longest job ever.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So take us a little bit back to the beginning of Hydra and like what was the original vision?
So I wasn't here for the beginning of it, but when I did get here, um it was a little bit of a struggle. So it was just IV hydration, and they're coming off of COVID, right? So they
Right.
lost half of their IV hydration members during that pandemic. And it was hard to keep the offices staffed because the nurses made more money at the hospital. We had to cut back to appointment only because you didn't want that many people in the office at the same time. And so, they handed me that assignment and was like, here, can you fix it? Give us some weight loss, give us some testosterone, give us some peptides, and let's just turn this ship around. So that's
So
how it
what do
was
you
before.
so like in that, like what do you see happening in the wellness and healthcare market that you feel that could be done differently or better?
I think that really focusing on the client and not just the transaction is what's
Hmm.
you know, critical. And I think that's what's created longevity with a lot of the patients who have followed me from 4 practices ago. I've seen them, since I was 37, and no, 30. Oh yeah, I was 36, something like that. Anyway, they all followed me, and it was like, wherever you're going, I'm going. So I've managed their health for the last 10 plus years. And I've seen their kids grow up. I've seen them, go through divorces. I've seen people, start new relationships, new jobs. and really getting to know them on a personal level instead of just here's your drugs and sending them on their way. That is so, so important.
Okay. And so like HydraPlus obviously has evolved to where it's originally to what it was to what it is today. What made you guys make that decision to say, "Hey, you know what? We need to be offering these other services."
That was something the owner decided before he brought me on board. So I think it was a choice between selling the company and just washing his hands of it or giving it one more go. And so it was like, no pressure, but can you make this thing work? And, and I'll be
Yeah.
honest, we were in good shape after 8 months of tireless working. It's not 9 to 5. It's not, leave your work at the office when you clock out. It's none of that to make it to where it is now.
And what are you like most proud of when you look at what you've helped currently build in the last 4 years since you've been with the company?
Well, my first year in, we got voted best hangover cure in Atlanta.
Wow.
And that is for the IV hydration. We've got an actual hangover cure bag or hangover rescue, rather. And we've held that for the last 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that. We're doing, sponsoring a lot of athletes now. We do a lot of pop up events now. We have evolved into having two talks events a month now. So before it was just to unlock the doors and turn on the lights and wait for the clients to come in, and now people have a reason to come in all the time.
Yeah. And so based on that, like there's a lot of wellness providers that are out there in the market. What would you say separates you guys from everybody else?
We've got great staff, right? So we don't just have, medical assistants, and that's not discounting that, but like we have very seasoned paramedics and RNs starting your IV, right? So a lot of them still work at the hospital or for the fire department. And so if you're getting your IV done by somebody in one of our stores, they're going to do it without it being such a nightmare to get a needle in your arm. So I think our staff makes us stand out the most, but just that we've got great marketing, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll take credit for that because I was putting some cheesy spins on some weight loss packages and some promotions that we're doing, but hey, it's working. So
Yeah. So how important is that personalized touch with the experience with Hydra Plus brand?
I mean, you want it to be like relatable, right?
Yeah.
So you come out with a New Year's weight loss package and it's called Let's Get Wasted, WAISTED, right? Like wasted. And like it's something that is like it's corny, but it's like, you know what? I actually need to try that. And we've put like bundled products in there, like, different bars and drinks that can help accelerate the weight loss. We've coupled some, body contouring treatments in there, some red light therapy. So we've put a bunch of things into the weight loss package. So it's not just going home with a GLP injection or going home with appetite suppressants. It's like, it's um, pretty inclusive. A
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And so, as you begin to grow, you guys have three locations,
Great.
three
Mm-hmm.
location, right? How do you make sure that that customer experience doesn't ever get lost? I mean, to replicate that over and over again.
Oh, that's tough because it's call it 1,000 new people who have been in our doors every year, right? It's four
Yeah.
thousand people that you can't always lay your eyes on all the time. Because there's three locations and one of me, but you hope that you are imparting good wisdom on the staff so that if they come into any location and see anybody, that they still have the best experience.
And so, what would you say, like a competitor? Um, what would it be difficult to replicate what you guys offer?
Um, I just think the whole experience from beginning to end, because like I said, we're not transactional.
Yeah.
Make sure that, we know you, your kids, your family, what you do for a living, like what your
Yeah.
goals are, sort of thing. And I've secret shopped some places where it's just a like they you walk in and they just throw a sales pitch at you, and if you don't take the bait, then they're blowing up your phone until you come back. And I don't personally believe in that, but it works for lots of people in lots of industries. So hey,
Yeah. So as far as like your team size and you kind of mentioned the services, like, are there any other type of services that you guys may offer that maybe others don't currently today?
um, a lot of the IV hydration clinics are strictly IV hydration. Uh, and I think a lot of people are starting to dabble in the peptides and that sort of thing. We also offer like spa type services, so
Oh,
people can
well.
come here and get like a facial, or they can get um, some body contouring, some red light therapy, that sort of thing. And then if they wanted to get some Botox, or if they wanted to get some dermal fillers, so like rather than going to separate places for all of those things, you can do all of that
Oh,
here at
wow.
patient.
S-
Yeah.
Wow. So you guys actually do like fillers, and do you guys do Botox too?
Yes,
Oh,
we do.
wow.
So we've got
Okay.
a rotation of four injectors, and they're all so good, very experienced, and know the anatomy of the face and know how to make you look good without making you look plasticky, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, let's talk about. You mentioned peptides. What's your opinion on peptides? Because I hear this whole like they're from China or these are from Switzerland or like, what's your opinion on that? And like, I just I hear a lot of conversation, a lot of chatter about peptides. If you stay away from them, or these are helping me significantly. So I'm trying to. It's just there's this
It's
conflicting thing
very
that's happening.
yes. What is your age? Are you my age? I'll be
I,
46.
I'm 43.
Okay, so we're close in age. So this is the time that we need to be biohacking ourselves. So as far as
Okay.
peptide goes, I'm a huge fan. I'm always on a stack of at least two or three at one time, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean they're amino acids, right? So they're natural in that they mimic a lot of the functions in our body, and they mimic a lot of the chemicals that our body makes naturally, right? So, and they're so specific. You can do one for inflammation. You can take one for targeting visceral fat around the midsection. You can take one for deeper sleep. You can take one for, an injury. So, because there are so many specific peptides, there's like you can customize how you want to biohack yourself. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, awesome. So, what would you say are like the top services that are driving the most demand or growth for your company right now?
Since I started, weight loss has really taken the lead. I mean, the IV hydration, was already in place, and we've grown our membership there. But really, our weight loss and our peptide business has taken off.
And so, where are most of your customers coming from today? So, are they
Um,
just
Mostly referrals, and we do one text blast a week, and so we always have the forward to friends and family, so we always get everybody's wives and children and that sort of thing. We get a lot of word of mouth within the Brazilian community, and
wow?
and now we're starting to get business from a bunch of these events that we do. So we sponsored the NFC fights here in Atlanta last week, and well, while we were at weigh-ins, we offered free IVs to the first 8 males and the first 2 females who made weight. And so,
Wow, that's pretty
mhm,
cool.
yeah, so we got, all of them in our doors for the first time. And then during the fight event, we're actually on the corner pads, we're on the back of the ticket stub. So a lot of the just the visibility and all of the branding that we've been doing lately, that's where all the new businesses come.
So that was going to be my next question. Was like, uh, has the way customers discover Hydra Plus changed over the last few years?
Yes, because it's like rather than go to your website first, they go to your Instagram.
Yeah,
I try to tell a lot of small business owners that, like, listen, you have to get your socials up. It's such a necessary evil because like when you meet people, like I don't know if this happens to you, but when I go to networking events now, the first thing people want to know is not what's on your business card. They want to know what your Instagram handle is.
yeah,
Have you noticed
yeah,
that?
yeah. I have actually, and I need to like actually like up my game in Instagram, but it's like a whole different. work in
I was
progress.
trying to find you on Instagram and couldn't. So yes, you do.
I do. So that's a very good point that you just made that I'm going to begin to change my way of thinking in that because you got Facebook, you get I just it's so much to keep up with sometimes, so I definitely need to get my Instagram game up.
And you can hire to that weakness. You know what I mean? There are
Yeah,
virtual assistants. We have a virtual assistant in the Philippines who is actually on payroll with us full time, and she helps us create all of our graphics and a lot of the signage that we have here, brochures, business cards, any of that stuff. And then I have a virtual assistant in Nigeria who actually manages the Instagram for my own skincare line that I just decided a year ago that I wanted to do. But
that's cool.
yeah,
I
but I
love
still
it.
have a lot of bandwidth to manage that Instagram as well.
Yeah.
So I let her handle that one, and I mean, and it looks great. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
where would you like to see Hydra Plus 3 years from now?
I used to say that I wanted like a bunch of locations. I think that we just need bigger rosters. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Our three locations are great, right where they are, because we're in the like for anybody who's familiar with the Atlanta metro area, we're Sandy Springs, Virginia Highland, and Buckhead. We're in three great areas that like I mean, good visibility, and there are great businesses around us. So rather than open up a few more, I just want more people in our doors.
Yeah. So where do you believe the biggest opportunity is right now for Hydra Plus?
Getting into exosomes is
Oh, talk to me a little bit about that.
there's been all this chatter out there about stem cells, and now people are talking about exosomes. Exosomes are actually what's inside of the stem cell without the DNA. And so we use a company right now who has the patent on the extraction process of these exosomes. So each vial they send us is 100 billion nanoparticles of exosomes from a human umbilical cord. And
Okay.
we have a guy coming in on Wednesday, and he's actually getting 100 billion nanoparticles injected in each knee for old knee injuries that he's had. But when the word gets out a little bit more about that, because it's still very new, I think more people will be into it. But right now, it's like I don't think there's enough out there for
Yeah.
there to be
S-
enough curiosity yet.
So what would you think is preventing you from moving faster toward that opportunity?
I think that's just people aren't seeing it on TikTok. People aren't searching it up just yet. Uh, you know, maybe if Kim Kardashian or one of these celebrities, maybe Joe Rogan, if somebody starts talking about exosomes, then the word's going to get out, and then it'll spread like
Yeah.
wildfire. Because
Well,
that's
like
what PLPs.
for sure. So like one thing I find fascinating about successful companies is that the things that work when you're smaller sometimes become the exact things that create problems when you begin to really start to scale. So what part of running Hydra Plus is still more manual than you would like it to be?
Probably the phones and the appointment setting.
Really?
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people are using AI for that, but um, you still like people still want that connection to talk to somebody live and to get somebody to answer their questions without you're yelling in your phone like reservation appointment, and it's like if it's not picking up what you're asking, people don't want that when they're trying to have a med spa experience, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, based on that, do you believe like you're missing out on a lot of business because you're not able to one to answer the phone or pick up a call because you guys are just getting an influx of people coming in, on the phones?
So we have it so that our phones ring to all three stores at the same time. So basically, whoever's like the quickest who can get to the phone, but they will always talk to somebody live as long as it's within our business hours. We'll have somebody.
Got it. So, where do you find your team doing that most of that repetitive work most times?
But say that again.
Like, where do you find your team spending the most time doing repetitive work?
Mm, maybe in updating our charts. Sometimes
Mm,
that can be just kind of labor intensive and just tedious, but you know, it's necessary. We have to have a documentation of everything because this is a medical practice.
Yeah, for sure. And so, what processes um, heavily rely on you or another key person in the company that you would like to take off your plate? Let's just say.
I don't know. I like to know what's going on with everything all the time. But there's some things that, like, you know, they require my attention, so I can't even get them off my plate. So let's say the alarms are going off in the middle of the night. I'm the one who gets the phone call for that, right? Or if the internet is down at one of our locations and now we have to fix it because we can't book appointments and we can't answer the phones, we can't, check out any of our clients. So those are the kinds of things that, do I wish that I didn't have to deal with them? Yes, but
Yeah.
I it comes with the territory.
So what happens if you disappear for 30 days? What part of the operation will become the most difficult? Because you got to take vacations, right? Sometimes.
I do. And the funny thing is, I never tell any of the clients that I'm out of town. I never
Yeah.
tell them. Even when I'm in a different time zone. I was in Istanbul in February and, they're texting me and I'm 8 hours ahead. And I was just texting you. I'm like, I don't know what time it is there, but, because I'm not in the same time zone, but I still book their appointments. I still update their charts. So, I can't disappear for a month because typically I'm the one seeing all of the weight loss and the hormone patients. And
Yeah.
I don't like to relinquish that because I feel like I build up great relationships. And so the most I've ever disappeared is 5 days from work, but I've been completely accessible the entire time. Like I always have my Mac on me. I'm always like, and we have a group chat for
Yeah.
everybody in all three locations, so we can see what's going on. If one store's out of toilet paper and another one's appointment is running late, or all of that stuff, we can see it all.
That's kind of, you need to take more vacations, Stefanee.
Well, I'm saying at least once a month.
I love
Like,
it. I love it.
yeah, I just didn't take time off of my computer, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't completely
You're a
unplug.
workaholic. You're a workaholic.
I
You love
yeah,
to work.
I didn't think. Yeah, that's what it is. I liked working out. My husband is the same way too because his job is in the Bahamas, and so it's funny because we'll be sitting at dinner and we probably look like the most like disengaged couple, when we're sitting. But he's working and I'm working, and we both get
Uh,
it, right? So
yeah, for sure.
our phones are our lifelines if we're not in front of our computers.
Yeah, for sure. So, walk me through what happens from the moment someone first discovers HydraPlus or reaches out to you.
So they'll book an appointment. Typically, when they're reaching out to me directly, like on my cell phone, it's usually for a weight loss or a hormone therapy appointment. So I'll book them a consultation, and we can either do it via telehealth or we can do it in person. I always prefer in person, but I mean, Atlanta is the traffic here is crazy, so I get it.
Yeah.
Um, and then,
I'm about to drive through there here in about a few days. So it's yeah.
are you?
I'm really dreading going through Atlanta. I hope I don't get rush hour.
No, see, so we're actually like I guess they just announced it that we officially have no rush hour because it is just a circus around the clock. So there's lots
That's
of
interesting. That's interesting.
yeah, we have no rush hour.
So, that customer journey, do you believe that there's any like big opportunities that are being missed within that journey from start to finish that you guys could tighten up?
Yes, I always believe that before anybody walks out the door, that they should have another appointment booked. So if they're sitting down with me, I always have them booked for their follow up weight loss appointment or for their next time that they're due for blood work or any of that stuff. And not just from a sales perspective, right? Like, okay,
Yeah.
it's another chance to take money from them. It's more of like, so they stay on your radar and like I think that's important and that helps us manage each client more closely. And I don't know that that happens every time because again, there's one of me and we've got three stores and they're going every which way just to pick up meds or this and that. So I can't always see, hey, you were supposed to do blood work while you came in, or we need to book your next appointment. So that could definitely use some improvement.
Got it. And so, what happens when somebody contacts you guys but doesn't immediately schedule an appointment? Is there like follow ups, or how do you guys work that process?
Used to be, I used to call everybody who scheduled an appointment and didn't show up for it. Right? It's like, hey, I see. I would text them. I see that you missed your appointment. Let's get you back on the schedule. Which day works better for you? Um, I honestly don't have the bandwidth to do that anymore, which
Yeah,
is,
for sure.
I mean, it's good and bad because you should always manage that. But typically, when they've come in once, they know that they're going to come back in again. So they'll call the main line and reschedule their appointment.
And is that follow up? There's not like a system you guys use for like an automated. I know you discussed that earlier versus your staff having to manually do it with the technologies that we have today.
No, I mean we have a charting template that we use, and so if they're coming in for a follow up appointment versus a consultation, then all of that charting is the same, but we don't have any like systems in place that are
Yeah,
automated.
got it. So when you get a new customer, obviously that's important, but keeping that customer and building a relationship with them can be even more valuable, right? Um, what does Hydra Plus currently do to keep customers engaged after their first treatment? Which you kind of discussed. You're trying to book that, but
Yeah.
is there like, let's just say they don't book. What do you guys should continue to do to try to like reach them and get them to schedule another appointment with you? Is it like email campaigns or how are you guys doing that?
Our text blast campaigns.
Oh,
So
wow.
that works really well. That's the only way that we advertise for our like our talks events. Let's say it's an IV client and they haven't been in a while, but we're running a promotion and it's $10 for every booster you add to your IV bag, which is typically $25 to $50 in value. Then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, I've been meaning to get that done. And so I mean, we can generate a few $1,000s extra in a week just from people coming in for $10 boosters.
Yeah.
So I usually run that promo once a month for a full week.
That's
Yeah.
actually pretty awesome though, that you're seeing that something is actually working and you guys are able to capture that. Are there areas where customers tend to fall off or stop engaging at any point in time that you
Usually
see?
when they lose the weight, so
Mm,
when let's say they get down to their goal weight, and we encourage them to do a weaning protocol. So you come off your meds little by little. You don't just quit cold turkey. And then what happens is like 3 to 6 months later, if they just stop their medications abruptly, they've gained back the weight plus some. So they'll fall off for a period of time, but we see them again sometime soon.
yeah. And so one thing that we're seeing across like every industry and having conversations is businesses are collecting more information than ever before,
Mhm.
right? Would you agree with that? But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're using all of that data. How are you currently using customer patient information to personalize that experience?
Mm, I don't know that we utilize it as good as we should anyway. What I would like to do, and again, this is another one of those bandwidth things, is I would like to send out a birthday text blast to everybody who's having a birthday in August and say, hey, 30% off of whatever it is when you come in. Because we have the capability to run those reports and get anniversaries and, stuff like that. And, we're just not utilizing it like we should. I need to add that back to my to do list, actually.
Do you think that something like that would increase your revenues? Uh,
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So how much of the treatment planning comes from the standardized protocols versus information specific to individual patients?
We apply our protocols to the patient's treatment based on their height, weight, and their health history. But the protocols are the protocols. Like if you don't weigh enough, we will not give you medication. If are a certain height and weight and you want a dose higher than what we're allowed to give you, we will not dispense that. So
So you guys are pretty strict with your guidelines and your policies.
yes.
That's awesome. So do you feel Hydra Plus has information or data today that could help make you make better decisions, but isn't being fully utilized yet?
Yeah, I mean, I need to dig deeper into the reports that our electronic medical records can generate for us because there's a lot of things that we could do with that information. Like we can find out, what people are typically buying, or what treatment is the most popular on a Saturday, or that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And
So, so I want to kind of touch on like AI because it's becoming part of almost every conversation around business growth right now, right? And we're in an opportune time. Like we're part of a generation that we've never seen any of this, right? That's happening to companies. But I think companies sometimes start in the wrong place when they begin to think about that. Instead of asking, where can we use AI? I think the better question is, where is the business experiencing a problem that technology might be able to help solve? And you kind of mentioned that with like the phone systems and being able to possibly automate that service. Um, or how you don't really know, you're kind of like in the unknown in that realm, right? You want to have that personalized touch. So let me ask you, if you could automate one thing inside Hydra Plus tomorrow, what would it be?
probably the appointment setting and just the managing attrition, right? For anybody who we haven't heard of in a while, there's an automatic text message that goes, "Hey, it's been a while, we miss you. Come back and see us." I would like that to be taking place while the everyday stuff is still going on.
So if if I gave you an employee who worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never called in sick, and didn't require to anything really to manage them, what would you have that person doing? Would it be the phones? Would it be that process?
Phones and booking appointments. Yeah, following up with the people who are due for lab work, following up with the people who haven't been in 90 days, following up with the people who have a birthday this month. All of those things that I don't get a chance to do during the day. I'm in appointments all day.
I get it. I think like you're not the only one because I've been having a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and that tends to be like the biggest problem that a lot of them are facing, especially for like growing practices like your practice. It's like they always kind of like are just like trying to run this hamster wheel to try to get reach back out because there's opportunities there to drive revenue back into the business, right? And so my question would be is like, why would that be the most valuable thing for your business?
Because that's the lowest hanging fruit, right? There's
uh
people who have already been here. You just have to remind them that they have to come back and remind them why they need your services again.
yeah. So if tomorrow you were handed an additional 5 HydraPlus locations, you're probably like, oh please, like I'm just trying to handle mine right now. what
I
do
know.
you what do you believe would break first?
I don't know if anything would break. Can we get 5 people to show up and unlock the doors in the morning? Staffing is just tough today.
I think that's like a big thing, right? It's not just in your industry. I don't know what's happening now currently, but like nobody wants to work for some reason. I don't remember growing up where people didn't want to work. Like,
No, it's mind blowing. They want to do everything from home. And I'm like, well, we actually have to see patients in office, so you have to be here. They only want to work 4 hours a day, if that. And they want to make 6 figures right out the gate. Like, it is a very fascinating time for the workforce.
yes, it is. So you guys are facing that as well, just constantly having to make sure people show up on time and you know. Um so I want to hear about your bottlenecks because every business has a bottleneck. Like there's like a constraint that they're trying to like, you know, figure that out. So like what are you spending your time doing today that you could probably shouldn't still be doing?
I hate to say this, but probably seeing clients, right? Because, but this is the conundrum. If I'm not the one seeing clients, then are we generating money for the office? But I like to be out going to get more clients. I usually go to networking things or pop-ups, or going to lunch and learns, or those sorts of things. And that's a trickle effect, but that also doesn't generate money immediately. So at some point I always say like, oh, okay, well, eventually I won't be seeing clients anymore, but I don't know that that's a good idea because, you know, and I'm pretty cocky about it. I always say that nobody does it better than I do when it comes to
That's
patient
so
management.
true, though. It's so true.
So
Nobody's going to do it better than you. It's like you're the owner of the business. Like nobody's going to do it better than that person. I don't care who it is, right? You could hire, you could outsource, right? But at the end of the day, like this is your lifeline, right? And you got to be able to generate sales. You're going to go out of business, right? So, what keeps you up at night from an operational standpoint?
nothing because I have like I am on fumes at night, right? So we're actually in a good position now. I'm sure I was up late at night worried about when I first started with Hydra, right? Like, am I, what if I fail at this? And like, what if I was talking a big game and then nobody showed up, right? Because I said, oh, yeah, I have patients who will follow me here and, we can do this event and we can try this promotion. And so I had this fear that, like, oh my God, if this doesn't work out and I look like a liar or, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah,
big game, then that used to worry me big time. But now that we are in good shape, like this is the first time that we're in a position to where we can actually invest in branding. We don't have to, sometimes people won't do things because it doesn't generate cash flow right away, right? Like so print ads or a billboard or something like that. We're in a position where we can do things like that now. Where it's like, oh yeah, I recognize HydraPlus. I drive past there all the time or whatever. But it's, we're not frivolous about it, but like we can do that now and people, it actually helps.
so how let's talk about that 1 minute because I think that's really critical for business owners to understand, right? In regards to you guys are beginning to really get your brand out there. Um, I mean, how important do you see that? Knowing from the beginning of this that you launched on board to where it's at today, and the difference in maybe sales or customers that you're seeing due to that.
Well, now we're seeing, because before, I don't know how many people knew about Hydro Plus because there weren't any promotions, there wasn't any advertising, there wasn't any text blasting, email marketing, there weren't any, thing, events, talks, parties, anything. So now it's like we do so many things and we sponsor so many athletes where it's like you can actually see people wearing our brand. You can see like people carrying our tote bags and I mean, people recognize us when like in networking events that I attend, like people have heard of that, they've seen it, they know people who go here. So it's a lot different than it was. I mean, I don't think I'd even heard of HydraPlus before I started here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So you've kind of come in and really just taken it to the next level with your networking and your touches of people and really getting the brand out there. That's pretty impressive, Stefanee. I just want to let you know that because there's a lot of people that just, they get into a new business and they're kind of like, where do I start? And you really kind of taken the bull by the horns. I'm very impressed by that.
Yeah, it's been a journey. And here's the thing is that I admittedly like have never had a marketing class. I couldn't tell you the first thing about, like, I've never taken a business class. I've never done any kind of marketing anything. And so it was just we should try this, right? Like I would always joke about, telling the owner, I would send him an email or I'd send him a text and be like, hear me out. And it would be like an event, like, hear me out. We're going to have this event and it's going to be called Bubbles and Bags. And we're going to have this. So this is what we did. This is real. This happened last Saturday. We had an event called Bubbles and Bags, but imagine me running this past the owner. So we're going to have it catered in, and then we're going to have bottles of wine and bubbly, and then this woman is going to host this event, and she's going to bring in all of these bags and accessories and sunglasses and belts and all of this stuff, and we think that we could get a good turnout here at one of our locations. So he's like, if you think that'll bring out some people, we'll see how you do. So we had record attendance of people in a Hydro Plus location in one day from that event.
So I'm sure he listens to you now, or that the business owner listens to your suggestions now because of things like that, right? You're showing results.
Yes, and he always has. He's always like, let me just, be a free thinker about a lot of things. And I remember him telling me that I was like, notorious for jumping and building my plane on the way down. And that's so me, but you know what?
Yeah,
I do that all the time, and I can tell you what's worked, and I can tell you, well, oh, that probably wasn't the best idea.
yeah.
And I'll
So
own it if it wasn't.
yeah. So what's the one problem that if you could solve it in the next 12 months would have the biggest impact, right? That we would see on HydraPlus.
It's staffing. But just to know that for the next 6 months, nobody would call out, nobody would give up their shift, that we wouldn't have holes in the schedule when we were building it for the next month. If we do that for 6 months, that would be life changing.
So what have you tried so far to try to solve that problem? Is it like picking up the phone, word of mouth on employees? Like what would you say, what would you have tried to really try to solve that problem?
Well, we always ask around because these paramedics and firefighters, they all work in the same like same stations or the same precincts and that sort of thing. Or we try to get referrals from the hospital because a lot of them will work there full time and work for us part time. And I always stay interviewing, so I always try to keep people like in my pocket in case we have a situation where we need to train somebody right away. That I've already got some candidates in mind, and I've even utilized a staffing agency just to get like temp nurses, and that is insanely expensive. So I only do it when we're in a bind. So it's like up to us to decide, is it going to be more beneficial to pay the money for a nurse to come into the office that day, or do you close the store and you just because you don't have staff?
Yeah. So like I said, that's like the main big problem with everybody because if you don't have staff, you can't operate your business.
Yeah.
You just
You don't want
can't.
to close the store, but you also don't want to operate at a loss
Yeah.
because your payroll was too high.
Well, I tell you what, I think that this conversation that we're having right now is definitely going to be very, very valuable to our listeners. I think that, every one of us are trying to figure out that solution to the problems that we face, right? And that's why I started, Real Biz Solution is because we have to talk these things out. This is how we learn, right, from each other on, what can we do? There might be somebody on there that might be hearing what you have to, what you have to say, and they're dealing with the same problems. So I really appreciate you coming on the Real Biz Solution podcast and really giving us a look behind the scenes at Hydra Plus and the journey, right? Before we wrap up, though, where can people learn more about Hydra Plus and how can they connect with you?
All right, so our website is thehydraplus.com. Our Instagram is HydraPlus Wellness. So not the plus sign, but actually spelled out PLUS.
Awesome. Well, Stefanee, thank you again for joining us. And to everyone listening today, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Real Biz Solution podcast, where we uncover real challenges behind growing a business and learn from leaders who are solving them. Again, thank you, Stefanee, and
No.
thank you to the listeners. Please, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Come find us for more episodes in the future. And we're just so honored to be able to have Stefanee on board and hear the growing things that she's doing and the great things she's doing in the area where she's at. And let's say that it's Atlanta. It's Atlanta. Where else? It's the Tri area, right? Can you tell us where that's at again?
Yep. Buckhead, Sandy Springs, Virginia Highland.
Virginia Highland.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. All right. Well, thanks again, Stefanee. And again, uh, thanks for joining the Real Biz Solution podcast. Till next time.